done well. I'm Onyx Evie, and I am genuinely mad at today's day and age of how shows have gone down from, on average, 20 episodes-ish of a season per series to 8. And they're completely missing the character dynamic episodes like filler and beach episodes. Today is my action in defense of beach episodes. Strap in, because I might get a little heated today. So before we begin, you might be saying, but Onyx, wouldn't you prefer a story to keep going with the generalized plot and story instead of taking a break for shut up? Shut up. Politely shut your pie hole. I know what you were going to put in the comments of, oh, but I prefer a story to keep going. It's not the point of the ongoing plot that I'm mad about. It's the fact that they're cutting down the character time. That they're cutting down the little moments. We need beach episodes for peace of mind and storytelling. And I'm going to tell you today why. So, for those who have never experienced what a beach episode is, or do not know what the term filler means, a beach episode or filler is an episode or arc in a show or movie or TV show or comic, or I said TV show twice, book, where the characters do stuff that don't necessarily push the needed plot forward. Episodic plots and shows do this as well, but serialized shows are called out for it a lot more. Even though beach episodes are fun as heck. So why does it seem like story writers and TV show creators are allergic to beach episodes in this day and age? Well, to put it simply, people like constant stories to keep going. They don't want to take a break, especially in this day and age of streaming, for shows to have characters go to a beach and chillax a bit. Even though they should. People have gotten a bad rap of filler arcs, and it is sucky in my opinion. Filler arcs are good for characters, and filler episodes are great for audiences. Stop letting the bad ones define an entire type. And please, stop being cowards and give me my Ding Dang Beach episode. You cowards and chickens. Ugh. So, why are people so against filler arcs? To put it simply, they want stories to keep going and focus on the main stuff, which I don't blame them. I really like when stories continue on with the story without break as well. But beach episodes between main arcs are important because it gives us, the audience, breaks. Like, diving headfirst from dangerous arc to dangerous arc can feel off-putting, inconsistent, weird, and overall kind of stressful because it feels like there's no time to breathe in this show. Something that I kind of miss from the day and age where you had to actually wait and keep looking for the next episode of a show is the fact that you didn't have time to breathe and speculate. Well, now here you get to speculate in between seasons, and some streaming services still release new seasons every other week or something when it comes down to episodes. You still can just binge it all in one afternoon. You can wait to hear, you have full control in avoiding how you hear spoilers. And if you hear a spoiler, it does not really matter. But keep in mind with it, beach episodes aren't just something that they use for serialized cartoons and shows back when there was still cable, which there is still cable. It was something to give the story a breather. Give us important character moments that we wouldn't see otherwise. Give us another point of view on these characters outside of the main focus and plot. Give us some character-driven moments, dang it! Made us show why these characters care about each other, how they react to different situations. And most importantly, gave us, the audience, a break to just chillax along with the characters. Knowing that while these moments might not be 100% necessary, they're still fun. They're still enjoyable. There's something to be gotten from these. Which is why I actively do not like how it feels like shows are now allergic to these arcs, to these episodes, to these moments. Because it feels less human. Look, all I'm saying is that if I was a superhero who just got done saving the world, I would definitely drag all my friends to the beach or on a camping trip just to take a break for a little bit. Why? Because we just been through a lot. We need a vacation. Which is why it's so jarring to me that in shows cutting down their episode count because they don't think people want to watch a long show, they've completely missed the mark in the idea of filler arcs. Filler is not bad. The type of filler is. If something does not fit into the show, it doesn't fit into the show. It's not just filler arcs in general that's the problem. It's just the writing then. And at the same time, a show can have an amazing filler without having any problems. The most, in my opinion, slept on episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender is Tales of Ba Sing Se. And I'm not just talking about Tale of Iroh, but I'm talking about all of them. Tales of Ba Sing Se, while some people mostly talk about Tale of Iroh and occasionally Tale of Momo, they forget the rest of the tales. For those who have not watched Avatar: The Last Airbender at all or for a while, in Season 2, Tales of Ba Sing Se happens directly after the Team Avatar learned that not everything is as it seems in Ba Sing Se. And they're kind of in between the big climaxes of the season and the middle portion. So they have a downtime episode during their time in Ba Sing Se. Because we know they spend a little bit there before they actually get to kick off the main plot of this arc. Or time in this point. So, why is this so important? Because we get to see the characters outside of the normal combat-related instances. They're not in imminent danger, we just know that there's a looming one. Which is why it's so nice to see all these. Let's first start with Tale of Katara and Toph. My personal favorite because, come on, it's a spa day. It's fun. We get to see Katara drag Toph to the spa for them to have a girls' day out on the town. And they have fun. They torment a few people, they laugh, they accidentally or purposely murder a few girls. They have a heart-touching moment where Katara tells Toph that she's beautiful, because Toph is insecure about that, and it gives them an amazing moment. Especially since Katara and Toph are opposites. We've seen this throughout the entire show, but they're actually connecting in this point. It's amazing, especially since down the road they play off it more. And it's also funny, because we get plenty of comedy moments as well. With Toph saying that she would say the same about Katara, but because Toph is blind, she can't really fully articulate that. And then there's Tale of Sokka, which I also enjoy mainly because of the absurdity of it. So Sokka peeps in on a girls' haiku poetry class and accidentally becomes a rap master going against his teacher in a haiku rap battle where he's absolutely killing it until he messes up and accidentally adds one too many syllables and then gets thrown out. It is flipping awesome. And it gives us a good moment of Sokka being Sokka. Sokka is the comedy man of the group and also a very intelligent, wise guy. He's the planner. And while his dynamics with the rest of the group are amazing, it's also fun seeing him do stuff solo on occasion. Especially since it's not a combat-related issue here, and it's great. And then there's Tale of Aang. I have to admit, this is one of my lesser favorites ones, but I still like this one. Because it plays into Aang as the Avatar, not just in a combat sense, but also in a peace-giving sense. He sees a problem, so he does his best to fix it. And it works. This zoo is cheap, dirty, and broke, but no one will come because it's cheap, dirty, and broke. And at the same time, it can't get fixed up because no one comes. It's a circle problem with animals being in trouble. So Aang, really liking animals, goes out of his way to help, even though if it does cause a slave stampede. Thank goodness he has the bison whistle. But this little episode short episode, gives us a nice look into what Aang is doing. How he's trying to get off his mind that Appa might be in danger somewhere, and try to focus on a problem that he can't fix. Though I do wish that he would have mentioned Appa at least once in this part, which is probably what most people are put off to this part of the episode. It's nice to see Aang be Aang without the constant looming threat of the war. And then there's Tale of Zuko. Zuko, being the socially awkward guy he is, gets forced on a date by Iroh, who just wants to see his nephew be an actual human being instead of moping in the corner. It gives a character moment that makes sense with Zuko's current character arc, with him connecting with people and currently failing. He meets someone who doesn't judge him, doesn't try to push him away, doesn't view him as a prince, doesn't view him as a firebender. And even though she definitely figured it out by the end of the episode, no one is that oblivious. The guy you're on a date with, you take to this fountain area that you really like, but none of the lanterns are lit. He tells you to close your eyes, and all of a sudden, bam, all the lanterns are lit. Come on! What more do you need to prove that this guy can control fire in a world where that's a normal thing? But she doesn't say anything. Because what he did was sweet. Now she doesn't have the full context and all that, but it's still good. So, Zuko shows that he enjoyed this moment, and despite him kind of running out on the date a little bit, he said that he enjoyed it, that he liked it. Zuko was being a person, not just a snobby prince, or a runaway outcast, or every other thing that he's been putting up with. He's being a person. He's getting to know people. His final and eventual change in season 3 is very important, especially with this moment. And now I have to mention Tale of Momo. I'm going to get to Tale of Iroh. Now, while Momo is definitely the weaker of the two animal companions of Aang, I still do like him. Mainly because, haha, funny gremlin monkey doing funny gremlin monkey things. I'm a simple viewer. I just need funny, enjoyable moments between an animal companion, and I'll probably buy a plushie. But Tale of Momo, despite having very little dialogue, especially since Momo is from Momo's point of view for most of it, does give massive waves, especially knowing what comes next. Tale of Momo follows Momo, a little flying lemur who is very enjoyable in his own right, playing off the other characters, but he is trying to find his big buddy, because he probably does not understand the full circumstances, and it's clear that he misses Appa. He sees something that looks like Appa, so he tries to investigate, leading to several different shenanigans and us getting a hint later on. This is a massive plot beat that we learn in the next episode, Tale of Appa, which I'll get to in a minute. Right after... Sorry. Whew. Just thinking. Tale of Iroh. Whew. Iroh goes throughout the day of this episode interacting with everyday people, giving life advice to kids, people trying to rob him. Iroh has always been that character in Avatar who gives advice and is also a subtle character. While he doesn't start off this way, slowly evolving into the fun, adopting all lost children type uncle that we know throughout the series, and that we know for a fact he didn't start off this way before the series. This episode is heartbreaking because we learn more about Iroh that we didn't get much information on. The most that we learned about Iroh before this episode was probably in... Okay, a mix of two episodes that happened. Towards the end of the North Pole arc, Iroh mentions to Zuko that after the death of his son, he always viewed Zuko as his own, touching on the two's relationship. And then later in Zuko Alone, we get mentioned in his flashback that Zuko's cousin died during the siege of Ba Sing Se, which led to Iroh abandoning it. Now he's back in the city where his son died. And Iroh, on his son's birthday, goes to lay him to rest as well. He has spent the entire day helping people, from a crying boy to a misguided man trying to become a mugger, to some kids who were playing around. Even gives a little bit of advice to someone trying to grow a flower. But someone that he couldn't help. Someone that he misses. And it only makes it more heartbreaking when we know that the voice actor for Iroh, the original voice actor, this episode is dedicated to him. Oh, that's a... Oh, some invisible ninjas are cutting onions over here. Woo! Every single episode, part of Tales of Ba Sing Se have a slight bit of pull of heartstrings. Whether it be the relatability of Toph not really being confident in herself, or the connection between Toph and Katara, or Sokka straight up getting into a rap battle and we see his intelligence, or Aang missing his fun, big, fluffy bison buddy, Momo missing his big guy, Zuko remembering people that he misses in the Fire Nation and straight up not being able to go back to that old life. Well, now that those invisible ninjas have stopped cutting onions, let me talk about the episode directly after Tales of Ba Sing Se, Tale of Appa. Appa has been missing for a good chunk of the last few episodes, and basically being taken by sandbenders in the desert. This leads to a lot of the different events that happen in season 2. And Appa being captured and us seeing what he went through is heartbreaking in its own right. We did not need to see Tales of Appa. We did not need to see everything that happened to him on his adventure. We could have just gotten the note of, okay, a basic idea of what happened to Appa during this time. Was all we really needed to know is that he got a letter from a monk who wanted to see Aang. Not monk, guru. Who wanted to see Aang and train him. And even then, he's not the one who delivers it. It's taken from him and then delivered to Aang after he gets Appa back after several events that happened in season 2. We technically did not need to see any of this. Filler is technically not bad, or it's more of a neutral term. People have put a bad connotation to it because they just want to keep going with everything going on. Jumping to season 3 of Avatar: The Last Airbender, we have, an episode where we get to look into the psyches of the Firebending Squad, the Fire Nation Squad. This episode has Azula, Ty Lee, Meg, and Zuko going to Ember Island in the Fire Nation for a little weekend getaway, where we get to see some of their more hidden parts of their lives and how they feel. This leads to the eventual inevitable redemption of Zuko, the turning of sides with May and Ty Lee, and Azula fully descending into her third act breakdown. Let me talk about Zuko real quick. This episode could completely be removed in this episode, and Zuko's character arc would barely change. In fact, it would not barely change, because it's been something that's been set up since the beginning. If we remove this episode from the Avatar: The Last Airbender catalog, we are removing nothing, except for one line. I am mad at myself. Zuko says this in this episode. Throughout the entirety of season 3, after the events of season 2, Zuko has been mulling over his decision to rejoin the Fire Nation and capture his uncle and kill the Avatar. He is actively working against himself at every single point. He has very high levels of turmoil, higher than everything else we've seen in this season. He is mad at himself And that is a pivotal moment that we could absolutely remove with having no problems. Let's look at Mei and Ty Lee real quick. We know very little about them. Minus Ty Lee went to join the circus. Mei comes from a noble family and has a little brother several years younger than her. Mei dated Zuko, the two broke up and are now back together. And Ty Lee was probably born into a noble family based off of the line Azula gave. They're childhood friends who've always been with Azula and at her side. That's basically all we know about them, other than the fact that they're non-benders and terrifying combatants. So this episode could completely be removed, and all the events of Season 3 with these two would be exactly the same. Because what we know about them, Ty Lee being a kind person who got basically bullied into going on Azula's quest, and Mei being very loyal and loving to Zuko, them turning against Azula makes sense. But with this added bit of the episode, we get to see a lot more. We get to see how Ty Lee's done being a part of a match set. She was so done with being one of 7 identical sisters, which, first of all, what? I'm not even going to try to question the logistics of that, because, first of all, her and her sisters are, what's the word for, okay, look, it's more explained in the comics, but all of her sisters and her are the exact same age, they're all identical, and all have the exact same birth date. How the fuck? But Ty Lee basically prefers being called a circus freak than one in the same. A match set. In this episode, even before the beach scene, we see Ty Lee loving attention from guys, but just attention in general. You can argue that's probably why she went to Azula. Azula likes people who she can control. She gives attention to people to manipulate them. So that's probably why she stuck around Azula, because Azula saw potential in Ty Lee and decided to use it. Ty Lee is not that important of a character. She's an enjoyable character and a very strong combatant, yes. But in the grand scheme of things, compared to all the other characters that we've seen, she's one of those that theoretically could be removed from the story without that much problem, but it would still not be the same without her. Her character journey is very subtle, in the point of she only went on the quest to go find Zuko and Iroh in Season 2, because Azula ruined her life, basically. In this moment where Zuko calls her a circus freak on the beach, basically, because she basically made a comment that all this negativity is bad for your skin in front of Zuko, whose face looks like this. Zuko does a bad impression of her, does a handstand before calling her a circus freak, and then dramatically falls on the beach. Ty Lee basically points out that she prefers being called a circus freak because she doesn't want to be one and the same. She doesn't want to be identical to everyone else. She wants to be her own person. So her making the decision to turn against Azula makes sense. Because that's her own choice. No one made it for her. No one forced her to pick it. She did. This moment could be removed and it would be the exact same pivotal moment. It would just say, finally, probably. But it makes it so much more impactful. Because we know that she probably has been this way her entire life without being able to pick who she could be because she was always one in a match set. One in a same. One in a pair. Of 7. Seriously, what the hey? And then there's Mei. Mei we know more about than Ty Lee. After all, we actually got to see Mei's family in the show and not just in the comics. And even then, we've never seen Ty Lee's actual parents. But Mei, she mentions how she was basically she has her own expectations. Her father was a very powerful member of the Fire Nation elite, and her mother had certain rules for her. Mei was given everything she wanted as long as she did what she was told. which definitely led to some aggression and specific ways she vents her own frustrations. Probably why she always has very sharp objects that she throws at people. But this moment where she basically says that she doesn't want to talk about her feelings and actively bursts out saying that she wants to be left alone is pivotal, because the moment that she actually breaks away from Azula is because of her emotions. May, throughout every single interaction that we've had with her, has tried to be closed off. The closest we ever get outside of this moment to May's genuine affection and feelings is when she's with Zuko. So, of course, when Zuko's life is at play, when it's Zuko or Azula, May would pick Zuko. This moment could be completely taken away. This entire episode could be gone, and you would still see that. And then there's Azula. What we would be missing if we saw this would be nothing. Once again, we would be missing absolutely nothing other than this line. My mother thought I was a monster. Azula's fall into her inevitable character destruction was basically hinted at from her very first appearance. Was her doing an amazing firebending routine and showing off lightning bending for the very first time, mind you, outside of Iroh's lightning redirection in season 1. Everything was perfect, except one hair was out of place. We get a good look into Azula's psyche in this moment, showing that perfection or near perfection is not good enough. Everything has to be exactly as it should. Everything. And if something does not go right, everything else crumbles. Honestly, we could remove this entire episode and nothing in the series would change, other than we would not know right away until Zuko mentions it later on that they have a house on Ember Island. But what we would be missing is the character moments. These powerful moments not only spell out different points in these characters' character arcs, but also how they will go. Every other character on this beach shows actual full sympathy and full connection with the others. They acknowledge the other's pain and struggles with this, minus Azula, who laughs at the joke that was made by Ty Lee. Points out that May probably didn't have that hard of a life. The closest that she gets is when Zuko mentions that he's angry and she asks if he was angry at her. That's the closest we get to her actually being humanized, being a normal person. It shows how far each of them are in their inevitable either destruction or redemption. And sadly for Azula, she was a little bit too far in the destruction category. Once again, this episode could be completely erased, never existed, and the paths would still make sense to which way each of these characters went. What would be missing are the moments. Now, beach episodes, filler, side episodes are not important. They are not needed. But that's the point. Not every single episode of a show, not every single chapter in a book, not every single moment in a movie has to be directly driving to a specific point of the story. It can just be driving to the moment. It can just be driving to that moment. That moment of character connection where the audience can truly feel them. That's why we need filler. And that's why we need character interactions. Because some of the most pivotal points and some of the most enjoyable points in a show can come from the most simplest points of just characters talking on a beach, venting their feelings, their frustrations, showing who they are and that they are people. Now let me just pivot for a less downer moment. Directly after Thriller Bark, English. Directly after Thriller Bark, we get an episode where Brook is still trying to get his place in the crew. Now, Brook has spent over 50 years alone on a pirate ship going mad in the darkness. Null isn't keeping him sane, is the thought of finding a whale. Not in the sense of that type of whale, finding his friend whale. It's a whole thing. One Piece is weird. Well, we get an episode of Brook trying to connect with the rest of the crew and be helpful, which is great. Something that can often be skipped over, especially as characters get added to the cast, is how a new character falls into it. It'll feel weird if a new character came in and everyone is automatically acting like this character has been here the entire time, but it'll also feel weird if we never get that full, true adjustment of this character being there. So, just a show of how this probably went down is great. This episode does not need to be here. This part was not in the manga at all, but it just shows a little bit more. Showing that the characters are, how these characters interact, how these characters act when there's not that much of a threat is great. That's why filler is such a good use, when it's being used well. Now, I know that not everyone likes filler, and I understand that. But I just say that filler is needed for some stories. Like, it's good, it's fun, and it can add so much more than what people think it can. Removal of filler just removes those moments of character interactions. Give me my beach episodes, dang it! You cowards and chickens behind the direction of TV shows. Give me my filler! Give me my character interactions. Give me my freaking barbecue scenes. Show me which characters would have fun playing beach volleyball and which ones would be having fun just drinking a fruity drink with an umbrella. Show me how characters act on a beach. Show me which characters will be in charge of bringing what to a picnic. Just give me something that's not just pure plot. We can have plot going on in the background. Just have the characters sing a goofy song and have fun for an episode. Stop trying to traumatize them every single episode. Give them a break. Give me a break. Filler is used for character arcs. That's basically what it is. While these episodes, these moments could be completely acts from the story and the show without having much problem, it misses the beats in the point of it. It's not the point that it's necessary. It's the point that it's fun. It's the point that it's enjoyable. It's the point that it's a story and part of it. We're not going to see every single point in a character's story. Off-screen moments are off-screen for a reason. But the on-screen moments don't need to necessarily be fully and driven towards the main plot. Sometimes it can just show us and be a little just engine check on where the characters' stories are going and how their dynamics are connecting. And sometimes they can just be as simple as the characters having fun on a beach. Or as a pajama party, where two characters who have a past, and us, the audience, finally get to check in on that. How these characters have interacted and changed over the story. It's a point of trust check. It's a point of character interaction. And it's the point of fun. So, please, if you are in charge in any capacity of making a show or this type of comic book or anything, keep in mind the importance of filler. Because the audience doesn't hate filler, we just hate bad ones. We hate filler that's not necessarily or fun. We hate filler that doesn't do anything for the characters. But we love filler that does. Well, that's all for today. I hope I've convinced at least 5 of you who are watching this video that filler is absolutely and guaranteed necessary. Tell me down in your comments your opinion on filler episodes and beach episodes in general. And tell me your favorite type of filler episode that you've ever seen. And also tell me what you liked about this video. And until next time, I'm off to fight the Knit Moon. Bye!